This might have been one of the coolest hockey conventions, and yeah, I'm a little upset that I wasn't invited. This is all coming up here in Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Blues your first listen every single day. You're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. My name is Haley Taylor Simon, and I am so happy to be back with another episode for you all today. As you can tell by my background, I finally got it in the mail. It is my beautiful vintage St. Louis Blues sweatshirt because I have been such a sweatshirt person lately. And for some reason, I am this way, and I don't know if any of you guys are this way too, but if I get a sweatshirt or a really cool sweater, I will not wear it. I will hang it up and admire it because I'm afraid of ruining it. So right now it's all hung up. It is beautiful. It is glorious. And it's just a little vintage St. Louis Blues hockey sweater. Today, I had a really fun episode planned, and I still do have a fun episode planned. But before we get into things, I want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on to get started today. So for those that don't know me, my name is Haley Taylor Simon, and I work in sports radio. So I am used to all the comments. I'm used to people having opinions, and that's why I love doing the Locked On Blues podcast, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, because you folks that are listening are so intuitive, have so much to say, so knowledgeable, and you really do add to the conversation when I talk to you about St. Louis Blues hockey. I've been covering the NHL for about 5 seasons now. It all began when the St. Louis Blues defeated those Boston Bruins and won the Cup in 2019, and here I am. So this podcast, it's entering its second month being taken over by me, and it has been so much fun. I get to talk about St. Louis Blues hockey every day. How cool is that? While it is summertime, I do film 3 episodes per week. Unless any breaking news happens, then I'll go back to the original 5 or maybe even 4, but nothing has happened yet. I'm a little bit of a historic person, and I want to talk to you about a fact that I saw yesterday on St. Louis Blues history. I think this Twitter page is extremely cool, and I'm going to talk to you about some fun historic facts. So, August 1st in 1977, the St. Louis Blues hired Susie Mathieu as public relations director. She became the first woman to hold a role in the NHL. So, it is beyond cool. So, a little bit about her. She was formerly assistant sports information director at St. Louis University. Oh my gosh, co-host Stella almost jumped up on here. She has been hired by public relations director of the Blues. And it's really cool because women in sports, obviously, I'm a woman doing this podcast. And it's interesting because I feel like these days it's so much more common. But back in the day, it really wasn't common. And it's a fun little thing that the St. Louis Blues, why do they block me? Oh, that Twitter account. Oh, that makes me kind of sad. I don't know why they blocked me, but I shall go on my main account because I think this is one of the coolest Twitter accounts. I'm really upset about this. Wow. No, but Susie was definitely somebody that such an icon in the NHL. So today, this account posted that Pavel in 2005, Pavel Demitra leaves the St. Louis Blues free agency and signs with the Kings, and Chris Pronger traded by the St. Louis Blues to the Edmonton Oilers for Eric Brewer, Jeff Wotika, and Doug Lynch, and a pick 1 and picks 2 and 3 are all from the LA Times. So I'm going to show you that. Always want to get some credit out. So some newspaper clippings. I always forget that like newspaper clippings and things like that existed because like I'm 24, so it's just weird to me. But yeah, no, a day when Chris Pronger ends up leaving and gets traded, it's always sucky. He was here with the St. Louis Blues for 9 seasons and one of the most impactful defenders on the team. And it's interesting, right? Because you look to see what those guys did for the Blues and nothing much. And it set the team back. And obviously, August, I said get me to August because now I can look at the bigger picture, which is looking towards the regular season of hockey, which will begin quite soon. But it's important to talk about the history of the game, and this is something that I want to dive into, but I really haven't talked about the Blues history as much. Would this be something that you want me to talk about, the Blues history? Do you find this intriguing? Do you find this interesting? Or do you just want me to stick to the current information? I'm a huge history nerd, especially when it comes to hockey. So if you find this, entertaining, if you find listening to these things riveting, if you find these things boring, let me know either way because I am more than happy to talk some Blues hockey history. But again, I understand there's some people out there that only want to hear present and current information. But because it is the off season, it's not going to be telling you guys this in December. I'm telling you this now as it is August. Should we do one more maybe? Oh, this is a fun one. Okay, so July 27th, 1995. This is a fun one, and this will make you feel a little bit better. So Brendan Shanahan traded to the Hartford Whalers by the St. Louis Blues for Chris Pronger. So, yes, that is exciting news, and that is happy news. And it's so crazy to me when you look at the history of hockey, teams that are here versus teams that are not here. And the Whalers, man, like, that's a team that still holds some power today. They had some great players. And I think their sweater, if I am not mistaken, is still the number one sweater being sold. Let me go check up on that actually, because number one NHL team selling sweaters. See, this is the stuff you hear in Locked On Blues because I am interested. So, okay, top selling NHL jerseys. I call them sweaters, but I don't really care about this season. I care about all time, right? Definitely not going to be the Blues if it was this past season. So, interesting. Is this not a thing that people care about? Okay, ESPN posted something. So, thank you, ESPN, for at least posting something. Top player jerseys in the regular season. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, why don't they have of all time? Like, why? This is ridiculous. All time. I'm going to search in Whalers. I wonder if the Blues are on this. Okay, well, that was in 2010. I found the website. Okay. The Chicago Blackhawks. Really? Other top selling teams include the Penguins, the Red Wings, the Bruins, the Blackhawks, and the Whalers. I was right. The Whalers are on that list. I wonder where the Blues rankings go. I know this is a little bit off topic here in Locked On Blues, but this is okay because I find this stuff entertaining and riveting to me. So St. Louis Blues jersey top sellers. So let's go see. Oh, wow. Tarasenko 2022, 2023. The reverse retro was the Blues number one selling sweater this past season. For those that want to see the visual, I will describe it to you. If not, this is wow. I forgot about how sick this one was. It is the beautiful yellow blue. Oh man. Now that was number one selling from the St. Louis Blues this season. Now Vladimir Tarasenko was the number one selling player for the St. Louis Blues. So that was a big one for STL. Go Blues. Okay. So that was some fun little facts. But again, let me know about the hockey history because yeah, that was a little bit entertaining, and I found myself going down a rabbit hole, but I have to contain myself because I need to just relax. And I can do a whole episode on the history of sweaters another day. I need to relax with that. Oh, man. All right. I'm going to tell you about my friends over at FanDuel. Take your first swing at betting MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets, up to $200. That's right. Just bet $20 and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200 you can spend betting everything from money line to the over/under to who you think is going to get the first home run. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet on the MLB than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So sign up today and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. All right. A convention that I was not invited to, but I wish I was. And this will sound stupid, but you know what? I do not care because right now it is the beginning of August, and this was the most I've seen the Blue Note. It was because of Louis. Yes, Louis. There was a mascot convention that the NHL had. And you got to see all of your favorite mascots and interactions. There was a selfie with the Flyers mascot, Gritty, and Louis. And it was really heartwarming to me because everyone just looked super happy, as mascots do. I know saying this, you might be a little bit like, hey, why do we care about the mascots? I'll tell you why. Look how nice this is. This photo, if you can see on YouTube, at our Locked On YouTube page. The reason why this convention had me a little bit excited is because there were some mascots that were hardly featured, but Louis was featured quite a bit from all the NHL social media posts to even other teams taking pictures with Louis. And it got me thinking, is this the year that the NHL and the media, the national media, not the St. Louis media, obviously, finally care about the Blues? Maybe I'm overanalyzing. Maybe I'm reaching just a little bit. But in my eyes, in my perspective, I saw the Blues mascot being notably recognized on social media. And maybe that this is a sign that the NHL is saying, hey, you know what? Maybe the Blues are a team to focus on in. I mean, this past, trade, the draft, before the draft, not the trade deadline, that was baseball. Before the draft, obviously there was a lot of, talk surrounding the St. Louis Blues with the potential trade of Torrey Krug, and then they ended up acquiring Flyers as center Kevin Hayes. Maybe the NHL, and I'm just going based off of a hypothetical, maybe the NHL saw all of the chatter surrounding St. Louis, and now, because I was really disappointed with the lack of coverage this past season, they're going to give the Blues the attention that they deserve. And despite the team not playing well, the St. Louis Blues fans deserve that attention. So when I saw all these pictures of Louis, I know, maybe this is me overreaching, but I don't care. It's my job to analyze things and to break it down for all of you here in Locked On Blues. When I saw that, it just got me thinking, hey, maybe the NHL is going to talk more about St. Louis in the future and recognize them like they do with all the other teams. Because I gotta tell ya, I have my reasons as to why the NHL doesn't really want to recognize the Blues as much. And you look at the social media and you got to think to yourself, why don't they recognize St. Louis? And it's because they like to stick to the original 6 teams. That's just what I've picked up on. But they did post a little graphic by the 2022-2023 goals leaders by each team, by each division. And I'm going to tell you guys this stat because I found this to be kind of interesting. So let's go start with the Arizona Coyotes. Clayton Keller with 37 goals. And then we move on to the Blackhawks. Oh, if I mispronounce, some of these names are so hard. Athanasiou and Reddish with 20 goals each. Then you go to the Avalanche with Mika Rattatan with 55 goals. Then you go to the Dallas Stars, who this guy really had a good season. Jason Robertson with 46 goals. And then you go to the Wild, Kirill Kapraz with the 40 goals. And then I actually saw this guy live when I was down in Florida. Matt Duche with 22 goals. And then, of course, our very own Jordan Kyrou with 37 goals. And then Mark Schifele with 42 goals from the Jets. So I'm not saying that, Jordan was so far off from everybody because obviously he tied with where did that graphic go? With the Yotes, with Clayton Keller. He had more than the Blackhawks. He had more than the Preds. But I still think that he is going to achieve. I told everybody a couple episodes ago that he was going to get at least maybe 50. So, no. What did I say? He was 45. He was 45 goals this season. So it's definitely achievable. Okay, but before I move on from this mascot thing, as I said, I've just been in my history mode today. A little bit of a fun fact here about my boy Louis. So on November 3rd, 2007, the Blue Bear was named Louis by the fans. He was even given his very own game jersey. Now Louis can be seen all over the home games and throughout the community doing what he loves best, meeting fans and supporting the Blues. And it's funny because the Blues obviously have been around a lot longer. So I feel like the mascots in general developed like a whole name and things like that. But let me tell you something about what Louis does for the community. So he is teaming up with St. Louis County Public Library to visit different libraries in the St. Louis metro area. He will go over the life goals with the visitors to the library. Life stands for learning, imagination, fueling your body, and exercising. Kids attending in the library with a Louis event will have the opportunity to answer hockey riddles, discuss their favorite healthy foods and snacks, and do exercises with Louis and practice their slap shots on an inflatable slap shot machine. All participants will have an opportunity to meet Louis. I think that this is one of the coolest events ever in the library with Louis that Louis did. Now, he did this back in 2020, I want to say. I think that's when that program began. But he does have library visits in 2023. So, yes. The reason why I wanted to share that before I move on to the final thing about mascots, as I said, notably, they become a lot more involved in the community. The fact that the St. Louis Blues have a program that helps out the community and drives not even just hockey, but just drives a healthy lifestyle is super important. And I don't see a lot of other teams doing the outreach that St. Louis does. So I just want to say yes. While it is just a mascot, it's also something that's helped the community with St. Louis. And I think that is very important. So before I move on to my final topic, I just want to let you know that this is, again, your Locked On Blues daily podcast presented by the Locked On Podcast Network. You can find the Locked On Blues podcast on any streaming service that you have, so Spotify, Apple Music, and then, of course, on YouTube here at the Locked On Blues YouTube channel. So if you're seeing this on YouTube, hello, how are you? And finally, I like to ask everybody a question of the day because I find this to be a way for me to interact and hang out with you guys and just, learn more about what you like. So this week is all about you. And starting off is, if you could get any sweater, past or present, which player would you get? So David said, a white Cujo jersey from the early 90s. Oh, some Curtis Joseph action. Oh, man, what a beauty. That is a good one. And I love the past. I love when people get past players' jerseys and sweaters or whatever, because it just, to me, is so symbolic. And players that have made impact teams that are still being recognized today is one of the coolest things that you can do as a fan. Dak said, Binner from the Winter Classic. That is a nice one too. If I could choose one from the past, I would have to go with a Chris Pronger home jersey, just because I feel like that is such a staple. And then if I had to go one with the present, oh man, I'm going to say this. You knew I was going to go here. Braden Shen reverse retro jersey, because I saw that. At first I was going to say a Winter Classic, actually. But then after I saw those reverse retros, I just feel like that is absolutely sick and beautiful. So I kind of want that now. But it's interesting because when it comes to hockey, there is so much that goes down with all the jerseys these days and just so many things that weren't a thing, 10, 20 years ago. So, of course, the jerseys happen to be one where instead of just home and away, you have Winter Classics, and then you have the outdoor games. I forget, like there's just so many outdoor games now, the Heritage game, and you have the reverse retros every season. And the thing about the reverse retros that I need to touch on very quickly, retro is kind of like a throwback, right? So then how can you have teams like the Seattle Kraken have a reverse retro when they just joined the league? It's kind of like with the Vegas Golden Knights. I think it was like their first season in the league. And the NHL is like, oh yeah, get your Golden Knights reverse retro. And somebody said, do they even have an alternative yet? Because it's like ridiculous. I think that they need to make these reverse retros or these retro jerseys more exclusive to teams that have been in the league for at least maybe 40 years, maybe. And I don't want to like not have every team participate, but I think it should be, something where teams that have been in the league for quite a while should be rewarded with being able to have a special sweater. Maybe I'm just being a little too harsh. I don't know. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. Let me know in the comments. Today's episode was fun as usual, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. And just like always, how I end every single episode, I think you already know, but I'm going to say it anyways. Let's go Blues.